ang ngiti. Nang natulad natin kahit isang araw din ay makamangkal. Sa isang magsisikap lahat magagagal. Nang ibang inaangat, manali kong katulad na sa isang nakisilip ay araw na sisikat din. Hindi pwede ang ipapabilin ang batong pag-asa ay muling papanawin. Amot naman ay ating makakaktan. Gustos ang pagsisikap, magiging isang pangarap. Sa isang bata may munting piling, ibig nais niyang iparigin. Pagkakalawag sa walang nahanap, karunungan ay siyang mas mahalaga. Ng ibang hinahanap, kahit kung katulad na sa isang nakisilip ay araw na sisikat din. Aking bibigay ang ipapabilin, ang bagong pag-asa ay muling papanawin. Amot naman ako'y ating makakaktan. Gustos ang pagsisikap, matutupad ang pangarap. Nagagawa ang lahat, kahit pulos ay lumarang. Sipag at takas ang ating hawak. Pag-lis ng ating paglaban, patunay na ilangan. Nakanan ko ay siyang magtatapatan.
Halina't makinig sa akin, tamang kabalaran ang kahihinat na natin. Bukal sa iyong isipan, tagumpay na tatahakin. Isang pangarap na lubos, landas na iyong pagtutunguhan. Pangat na inaasam, di mapipigil ni Numan. Maaabot lahat ng iyong inaasam. Kasipagan ng sabot, salat ka man sa kayamanan. Buksan ang pahina ng mga aklat ng karunungan. Edukasyon ating kailangan, kapamangan ating iwanan. Peace!
Aking pilipanin, ang ipapabilin,
ating tanawin,
batong pag-asa ay muling tatanawin.
Kinabukasan pag-ibagin, pilitin mong gawin.
Gustos ang pagsisikap,
Pag-asa ay yakapin.
The unseen enemy crept like a thief in the night, smizing cunningly at people in their sleep, and one morning took hostage of humanity by surprise as the coronavirus pandemic continues to spread its ferocious rampage the world over. COVID-19 took the different sectors by storm, and education was no exception.
COVID-19 pandemic shocks the world. We didn't see this coming. We were caught unaware. This has created the new normal, and we have to embrace it. by addressing the challenges it brings.
Determined to pursue the delivery of education amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, DepEd Region 10 launched its banner program dubbed as RX Adobe.
The Department of Education, Northern Mindanao, has crafted its learning continuity plans under the banner program RX Adobe, which stands for Region 10 Alternative Delivery of Basic Education. It underscores the alternative delivery modes under the remote teaching and learning. The 14 schools division offices of the region have crafted the learning continuity plans anchored on RX Adobe.
Always ready for education emergencies, DepEd Region 10 will continue its tradition of excellence in delivering its services anchored on the department's Sulong Edukalidad program.
As we pivot from access to quality, we have to consider a well-developed curriculum, improved learning environment, upskilled teachers, and take into consideration responsive multi-stakeholders cooperation. All these and more are under the program Sulong Edukalidad. But on top of these all, still health and safety are the number one concerns of the Department of Education, especially at this time of pandemic.
Serving with heart.
Leading
with a heart.
Envisioning with our heart.
Straight from the heart of DepEd Region 10.
education must continue.
Amihan ng Mindanao, pagkahiusan ng paibabaw. BigaTEN DepEd, pagpadayon sa edukasyon, mao'y tumong nga maangkon. BigaTEN DepEd, DepEd Northern Mindanao, for the learners then and now, we're always here to serve you no matter how. Pangarap natin abutin, pagsisikapan nating kamtin, kalidad na edukasyon para sa bata, para sa bansa. Kauban, kasaligan, kadampan, kadeped. Kauban, kasaligan, kadampan, kadeped. Ambihan ng Mindanao, DepEd Northern Mindanao. Ambihan ng Mindanao, pagkahiusan ng paibabaw. BigaTEN DepEd, pagpadayon sa edukasyon, mao'y tumong nga maangkon. BigaTEN DepEd, DepEd Northern Mindanao, for the learners then and now, we're always here to serve you no matter how. Pangarap natin abutin, pagsisikapan nating kamtin, kalidad na edukasyon para sa bata, para sa bansa. DepEd Northern Mindanao, amihan ng Mindanao. BigaTEN DepEd, BigaTEN DepEd.
Maayong adlaw ka natong tanan. Ako si Ramon Gonzalez Abrera, aka DepEd Paulo, ang inyong Public Affairs Unit Lead Officer.
Ug ako Sam, si Candice Racoma, ang inyong rakista abogada aka DepEd Rada. Kami ang inyong kauban,
Kasaligan,
kadangpan,
ka-DepEd sa
BigaTEN DepEd atin to.
Ka-DepEd Rada, eto na talaga, 2022 na at tuloy na tuloy pa rin tayo sa ating programang BigaTEN DepEd. May ano yan, may karugtong yan na hashtag atin to. Partner?
Yes, partner. Namiss kita, partner. At namiss ko itong set ng BigaTEN DepEd 10. At tama ka dyan ka, DepEd Paulo. Akalain mo, partner, nakadalawang season na tayo at patuloy pa rin ang ating paninilbihan ngayong season 3. Pero bago tayo magpatuloy, partner, balikan muna natin. O sana all, partner, ibalikan. Balikan natin ang mga kaganapan sa nakalipas na taon. Panoorin po natin ito.
Ang BigaTEN DepEd.
We still expect to do will also be shared as we dream, as we look forward to what is described as the new normal, not only in education, but also in the country, in our region, and in the world. Thank you.
As an awardee of this year's Information Leaders Awards, the first of its kind that is sponsored by DepEd Public Affairs Service, I am honored, grateful, and challenged. May we all continue to be a guiding light for others in the service of our learners and the country. Ika nga, maging ilaw tanglaw para sa bata, para sa bayan. Sa Diyos po ang kaluwalhatian at patuloy. Ayan, dili natapos ang atong ikaduhang edisyon sa BigaTEN DepEd Season 2. Ako si Ramon Gonzalez at aka ka-DepEd Paulo, ang inyong Public Affairs Unit Lead Officer.
Kung ako si Candy Zenia Racoma, ang inyong rakista abogada aka ka-DepEd Rada, sa gihapon ang inyong kaubay.
Kasaligan.
Kadangban.
Siyempre, ka-DepEd. Hangtod sa sunod higayon, kini ang
BigaTEN! 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 BigaTEN DepEd.
the northern Mindanao.
Ayan po mga ka-DepEd at ka-DepEd Rada. Alam mo, habang pinapanood ko yung throwback video natin, nakasmile lang ako. Anyway, matagumpay po nating natapos ang Season 2 at ito ay nagawa natin sa pamumuno ng ating napakagaling na panrehiyong direktor, Arturo Bayocot. Siyempre, partner katuwang ng ating pangalawang panrehiyong direktor, Victor G. De Gracia Jr. At ang, siyempre, sa pakikipagtulungan ng mga kasamahan natin sa iba't ibang sangay, eskwelahan at stakeholders. Partner, may paborito ka bang episode?
Nako partner, mahirap na tanong yan. Kasi sa tingin ko, maganda at makahulugan naman lahat ng pagtatanghal ng iba't ibang sangay. At gaya ng sinabi mo kanina, naging matagumpay ang ating programa dahil sa pakikipagtulungan ng bawat isa. At huwag mong kalilimutan partner, naging top 5 finalist ang ating programa sa first ever Ilaw Awards or Information Leaders Awards noong Desyembre na nakalipas na taon. O diba partner?
Siyempre partner. And this Season 3, we have new segments that are in store for our viewers. Para po ito sa lahat. Una na dyan, yung Batang BigaTEN, highlighting our students for their academic, curricular, and extracurricular achievements, their noble deeds, and inspiring stories, among others, through the news features of student journalists. Siyempre, partner, ito yung pagpapatuon naman natin sa ating slogan na the learners are the heart of DepEd Norman. Di ba?
Yes, partner. At meron pa tayong bagong, hindi naman episode, bago ding highlight sa ating programa, ang tinatawag nating Magkasangga, featuring other government agencies and non-government organizations' collaborative efforts with DepEd and other relevant information and updates. At eto pa, partner, at mga ka-DepEd, meron din tayong Teach Shortcut, featuring bite-sized and practical tips for teachers to enhance their instructional tasks and other office-related functions.
Ayan. At ngayon, mga ka-DepEd, ka-DepEd Rada, makakasama natin si ka-DepEd Kaloy para ibahagi sa atin ang kanyang mga paghahanda. Pasok, ka-DepEd Kaloy.
Ayun. So good morning everyone, no? Nice to see you, Kadeped Rada and Kadeped Ramon, and also all our viewers here in DepEd Region 10 and of course in the entire DepEd Philippines kasi tayo ay magkakasama-sama ditong lahat ngayon. So magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
Mhm. So, Kadeped Kaloy, ano ba yung mga paghahanda natin? Ano ba tong teach shortcut?
Ayun, yes, tama po.
Napaka-sexy, ha? Oh.
Yes, tama po. Itong teacher cut po, ito ay isang segment natin dito sa DepEd 10 kung saan tatalakayin natin yung mga bagay-bagay kung saan makakatulong tayo ng tama, sapat at dapat para sa ating mga kaguguruan. Pag-uusapan natin dito ang mga napapanahon at mga mahahalagang pangyayari na ito'y makakaapekto sa daily routine ng isang guro. Tapos ito ay magko-contribute doon sa performance nila. Dito rin ay tuturo natin ang mga akmang paraan para mapadali ang kanang mga buhay. Kasi we just want that all our teachers would have an easy life. Not that an easy life, but this is non-compromising doon sa services that we are offering here in DepEd Region 10. Ito ay ang DepEd segment, DepEd 10 na segment natin na tinatawag natin na Teach Shortcut. Ito ang serbisyong pagaling sa puso para sa ating mga guro. Ayan. So with that,
teach shortcut. Bakit ganon?
Teach shortcut kasi ito ay mga shortcut. Sabihin na lang natin na shortcut kung saan tatalakayin natin yung mga importante salient parts of possible siguro mga policies, mga teaching pedagogies, mga pamamaraan para tayo talaga ay makatulong sa ating mga guro. Dahil we are thinking here in DepEd Region 10 that when we provide technical assistance, we can actually maximize the potentialities of our virtual platforms or kaya dito sa ginagawa natin na BigaTEN DepEd 10 every Tuesday.
And Kadeped Kaloy, may naisip ka na ba na kung ano yung magiging first topic mo sa susunod nating episode next week? Meron na ba?
Yun, tama po. Marami po tayong mga highlights ngayon sa DepEd 10. Actually sa DepEd. But what is very parang it tickles the mind of our teachers right now is yung napapanahon na release ng RPMS. Doon naman tayo po na nakilala ng ating mga kasamahan sa DepEd. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to simplify the orientation and the discussion of this RPMS. And not just RPMS, marami pa naman tayong marami tayong mga policies at marami tayong mga napapanahong mga pangyayari na we need to tackle it and we need to discuss it and we need to communicate it with our teachers para tayo ay makatulong sa kanila ng tama po.
Sige, Kadeped Kaloy, take it away.
Opo, so with that, Sir Ralph, I would like to request na let's watch this short clip. Ito po yung teach shortcut, our teaser for our segment. Ito ang Teach Shortcut, serbisyong galing sa puso para sa bawat guro. Ayun, so nakita niyo po, we are using the hand sign because we want to communicate with you that in DepEd Region 10, we are inclusive. We want to reach everyone regardless of any circumstances. Ayun, so that's Teach Shortcut, serbisyong galing sa puso para sa bawat guro.
Partner, ano masasabi mo, partner?
Yes, partner. So sa DepEd Region 10, hindi lang pala ang learners ang heart of DepEd Region 10, pati ang ating mga guro ay nasa puso din ng DepEd Region 10, partner, and DepEd Kaloy.
Yes po.
Okay. Anyway, ayan po mga ka-DepEd, napanood niyo po ang ating bagong segment at aabangan po natin lahat ito. At bago tayo magpatuloy, partner, bigyan daan muna natin ang mga partner agencies at stakeholders natin para sa kanilang virtual messages of support. Panuorin po natin ang mga ito.
Morning. God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. For and on behalf of Police Colonel Euphronion Loyola Ubong Jr., our Provincial Director of the Misamis Occidental Police Provincial Office. This is Police Lieutenant Colonel Melvin Ayan Kodok Burlat, Chief of the Police Community Affairs and Development Unit of the Misamis Occidental Police Provincial Office, Galang Police, Kanunay at your service. With my fellow Orokitanos, sending our warmest congratulations to BigaTEN DepEd. The program has been very helpful in building partnerships, linkages, and in communicating and updating all stakeholders, particularly in the City of Good Life, the City of Oroquieta. Through this, we in the community, together with the DepEd family as partner of the peace and development of the city, we are more committed for a better collaborations with schools and all DepEd programs, projects, and activities, all for the children as the center of our education. Mabuhay ang BigaTEN DepEd are now in the Season 3. Mabuhay our Regional Director Arturo B. Bayocot, Season 3, and our snapping salute to the DepEd family of Region 10.
Pleasant good day, everyone. To Regional Director Arturo B. Bayocot and to the rest of the DepEd Region 10. Congratulations to the opening of the new season of BigaTEN sa DepEd 10. As you remain committed to deliver the best possible service to the whole region and showcasing the best of Region 10 to the whole country, we likewise remain steadfast in our commitment to be of service to the department, to be your stable partner to assist you in whichever way possible. With strength and fervor, we in the Kamulan Eagles Club are united to renew this dedication and commitment. I am Edgar M. Dison, President of the Fraternal Order of Eagles, Amihang Bukidnon Region, Kaamulan Eagles Club, Malay-Balay Chapter, saying, mabuhay ang Agila at mabuhay ang BigaTEN sa DepEd 10.
Congratulations, DepEd Region 10, for another season of BigaTEN DepEd 10. On behalf of the local government unit of Osami City, this is EDCOM Chair Cecil Co, saying we strongly support all initiatives and activities relative to giving information, entertainment, and reaching out to all education stakeholders of DepEd Region 10, particularly in the division of Osami City. Again, congratulations, DepEd Region 10. We are always your partner. Thank you.
Ayan po mga ka-DepEd, marami pong salamat kay Police Lieutenant Colonel Melvin Ayan Burlat, Chief Police Community Affairs and Development Unit, Province of Misamis Occidental, kay Sir Edgar M. Dizon, President of the Kaamulan Eagles Club, Malay-Balay City Chapter, and Councilor Cecil U. Co from El Salvador City sa kanilang messages of support. Hayaan niyo po at ngayong Season 3, mas lalo nating pagbubutihin ang ating programa dahil ngayong Season 3 partner,
Game face on, partner!
Dahil tuloy na tuloy ang edukasyon at EduAksyon sa Bagong Ngayon. Ito ang
BigaTEN DepEd 10, atin to!
Ito po mga ka-DepEd, para sa ating For the Win DepEd Norman, we have this press release, January 13. The Department of Education received recognition as one of the top requested and top performing agencies in frontline service through its Electronic Freedom of Information or EFOI portal during the 2021 FOI Awards. According to the Secretary, The department acknowledges the right to information as constitutional, and the department is making sure that the free exchange of information is unhindered and accessible to every Filipino citizen through the implementation of freedom of information. This initiative furthers the policies and programs of DepEd as our stakeholders proactively help in the interpretation of data and information. Partner.
The award was given to government agencies and organizations with exceptional and significant contributions to the progress and development of the FOI program, and to those who received 1,000 and above requests with at least 90% closed transactions. In 2021, the department issued DepEd Order Number 19, Series 2021, or the revised Department of Education People's Freedom of Information Manual, and implementing details designed to establish standard procedures and provide guidelines to the central, regional, schools division offices, and schools in attending to and fulfilling the requests for information of any Filipino citizen. Congratulations to the Public Affairs Service, to the Secretary, to Yusek Malaluan, to Director Godoy, Ma'am Beverly Berame, the PAS team, PAS Malakas, and the entire DepEd family.
Ayan, congratulations po. At eto partner, ang mainit-init pa, dumako naman tayo sa 2020-2021 Secretary's Award for Excellence in Curriculum and Instruction. Out of 18 categories, 14 made it to the national finals. At partner, nakasungkit tayo ng 3 panalo dito. Ito yung sa K-3 medium category. Nako, panalong-panalo ang Balay City. Courtesy of BCT Elementary School. Ayan ang kanilang principal ay si Sir Ricky S. Barcena, national winner. At panalo rin ang ating grades 11 to 12 very large category. Courtesy again of Balay City, Bukidnon National High School. Nako, consistent winner si Dr. Susan S. Olana. At syempre, ang Community Learning Center or ALS CLC, panalo na naman, Balay City. Balay City Community Learning Center at ang kanilang school head, si Sir Norman D. Melendez. Nako, congratulations. At syempre, partner, meron tayong mga other finalists. Sino-sino ba yung mga ito, partner?
Yes. Sandali, naka-mute ata ako. Anyway, okay, meron din tayong ibang finalists natin for most learning-focused elementary schools. We have our top 5 finalists care of, ito muna, sa category na K-3 small, we have from Bukidnon, Balogo Elementary School, represented of course by Miss Ruth M. Evangelista. We have for the K-3 large category from Balay City, Kalasungay Central School with Miss Merifes C. Gumayaw. For grades 4 to 6 medium, we have from Ozamis City, Narciso V. Ledesma Central School, care of Miss Melanie T. Paredes. And for the grades 4 to 6 large category, we have from Balay City, Managok Central School, kasama kanilang principal na si Sharon May S. Bongokan. Ayan, partner.
That's right. And para naman sa most learning-focused junior high school, ito yung mga top 5 finalists natin, partner. Ang grades for grade 7 to 10 small category, we have Ozamis City, Labinina National High School, kanilang school head si Ma'am Clariza P. Catefral. At sa grade 7 to 10 large category naman from Bukidnon, courtesy of Kabuluhan Paradise National High School, we have the school principals, Loniel D. Baro. At para naman sa grades 7 to 10 very large category mula naman sa Ozamis City, ang Ozamis City National High School, of course, courtesy of Sir Enerio E. Ebisa. Nandyan sila ngayon sa NEAP. Meron silang Project Cell Write-Up Workshop doon. Partner.
Yes, partner. Meron pa, partner, for our most learning-focused senior high school top 5 finalists for the grades 11 to 12 small category. We have a winner from Misamis Occidental, Pisaan National High School with their principal, Alexito L. Pancho. For the grades 11 to 12 medium category, we have from Misamis Occidental, Diwat National High School with their principal, Ralph L. Castillon. And for the grades 11 to 12 large category, We have, of course, from Cagayan de Oro City, Gusa Regional Science High School, of course, with their principal, Ma'am Charlene S. Bailon.
Ayan, at para naman sa Most Learning Focused Schools Division Office, andyan yung Division of Ozamis City at syempre ang kanilang Superintendent, Schools Division Superintendent Jean G. Veloso, CESO 6. All the best to all the winners and our national finalists.
Our aspirations, our hopes, our hard work turned into reality as about 5,000 learners stepped foot again physically in nearly 100 public schools for the pilot implementation of our face-to-face classes.
For his updates, RD Arturo Bayocot.
The kids going to school na very excited. Although there's quite...
Ayan, partner. Ayan, mga ka-DepEd. Gaya ng ating sinabi kanina, game face on tayo dahil tuloy-tuloy ang edukasyon at EduAksyon sa Bagong Ngayon. And with reference to this issue, partner and mga ka-DepEd, the regional office issued Regional Memorandum Number 102 Series of 2022 on the commencement of the expanded phase of the limited face-to-face classes in Region 10.
That's right, partner. And given the President's approval of the recommendation for the progressive expansion of face-to-face classes, Education Secretary Leonor Magtoles-Briones has authorized all regional directors to commence the progressive expansion phase of face-to-face classes for both public and private schools. At kaugnay dyan, makakasama natin ngayon ang ating multi-awarded regional director, Dr. Arturo B. Bayocot, at ang hepe ng Education Support Services Division ng Regional Office, si Chief Myron Hill D. Talosig. RD Art and Chief Myron, good morning and welcome to the program. RD Art.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank finally that we have restored our sessions. We have gone very far already in our program, and we're very happy to hear good words and complimentary comments from our partners who have been our followers and our partners, and appreciating this platform to be able to communicate to people, especially in terms of sharing our best practices and probably also forwarding our concerns, considering that education really is everybody's business. And again, for the record, this is already our season 3, episode number 39. You can just imagine how many topics have we discussed, how many best practices have we showcased, and how many people that have been touched in their hearts according to the programs and that we launched and ran for 38 episodes already, and this is the 39. So what else can I say but thank you for DepEd Central Office also giving recognition for our program that also bested awards, first places, second places, and recognitions for this platform. So marami pong salamat.
Ayan, thank you very much, RD Art. And Chief Myron, good morning po.
Good morning, Paulo and Rada, and to our RD Art Bayocot. No, I am thrilled to be with you today, and I would like to extend my warmest congratulations po sa team ng BigaTEN, no, for reaching this level. Nasa season 3 na kayo, episode 39. And I have bias sa mga ways of communicating to the people ngayon. No? Ito yung medyo mas maayos na platform because we are so bombarded with a lot of visuals and mostly visuals, no, na to the point na hindi na natin naaalala kung ano ba yung mga nababasa natin, news, whether it be fake news or totoo, no. But this way of communicating with our people, not only sa DepEd personnel but sa mga stakeholders is mas maayos siya because it's stimulating, no. Parang black coffee daw yan, stimulating to the point na hindi ka na makatulog right after. At sana totoo 'yon, no. And magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Ayan, magandang umaga po, Chief Myron, partner.
Yes, partner, mukhang mapapasabak tayo ngayong umaga, partner. Anyway, gaya ng sinabi natin kanina, pag-uusapan natin ang ating expanded phase of the limited face-to-face classes. Now, pending the issuance of a revised joint memorandum for the expansion phase, the main protocols and standards in the DepEd DOH Joint Memorandum Circular 001 Series of 2021 shall remain applicable as appropriate. At nakalagay doon ang mga parameters for inclusions. The first of which, RD-Art, is that expansion schools have been validated as compliant with the standards of the School Safety Assessment Tool or the SSAT. Ano po ba itong SSAT na ito, RD-Art?
RD, para naka-mute po yata kayo.
Thank you very much, Attorney Candice and Ramon. Before we proceed with talking about the SSAT, I'll bring you back to how this journey started. No, I know that in our distance learning delivery modalities that has been running since school year 2020-2021, and of course 2021-2022, there have been lots of limitations in our delivery. We were successfully able to cross over the two difficult years, but we were not also being spared from the different challenges that confront, especially our students who are studying from home. The parents are also having so much problems in terms of assisting their children. They may be able to assist, but they do not also have the material time, considering that it's really earning a living and putting food on the table is their priority. And there are those that have the material time but cannot also coach, considering the limitations and some technical issues. No? So with these limitations, especially in Region 10, that we rely heavily on modular approach, which is a paper-assisted instruction, I know that in one way or the other, we all feel the discomforts of allowing our students to just study on their own. And realizing that, we did some strategies. We do home visits. We did some engagements through Facebook Messenger, but there are limitations as well because not all are actually not all have access. No, you have to remember that out of 1.4 million enrolled students in Region 10 for this current school year, only 62,000 of them are going online. So whether the issue is connectivity or gadget, so this complicates the situation. So that DepEd has seen this, but we were also following when can be the right time to really start doing face-to-face. And on November 15 last year, the Philippine DepEd has started with the piloting of a limited face-to-face. And there were about 180 schools that were piloting the scheme, and out of that, 23 are from Region 10. We have 20 schools that piloted limited face-to-face that took off on November 15, and a week after that, there's also another batch. And 3 are private schools. So we were able to successfully follow through, and results would tell us that limited face-to-face is indeed real and is indeed applicable in our situation despite the limitations that are brought by this pandemic. No? But we cannot rest on our laurels because 23 is just 23 schools compared to almost 3,000 schools we have in the region. That's more than 3,000 to include our private schools. so that the limited face-to-face now is going to be expanded. DepEd has lots of talks at the Mancom and Exicom level and hearing from the feedback of the field officials, and not just about in DepEd, but comments of people, especially parents who are most affected in terms of their students' learning. So kaya, inumpisahan na natin ito, and the school safety assessment tool has been the guiding document when we offered our limited face-to-face pilot November 15. And this has go through revisions, and these are being adjusted to make sure it is relevant to the current condition. If we talk about school safety assessment tool, there are lots of components. One of that is managing school operations. And what are in the managing school operations? Of course, number one, shared responsibility. We do not like to own this because this has to be shared. And whether in the implementation, in the investment, resource generation, permission, all these are actually contained in the shared responsibility. I'll not dwell much on the nitty-gritty of these indicators. Myron is here with me, and he can also share some inputs regarding those indicators. No? Another is the alternative work arrangements. No? If it's not possible to open classes Monday to Friday for all students, then we have to strategize. Even students reporting or teachers reporting to school, napapaloob po yan sa tinatawag nating alternative work arrangements. And this also, of course, follows issuances of DepEd and even of the civil service. We also have classroom layout and structure as part of managing school operations. No? But we'll dwell on that because I've seen that there is a point that we shall discuss about the layout and structure requirements. No? And then there's school traffic management, putting some signages, how to make sure that it's smooth sailing getting in and getting out of classrooms. And then we also have protective measure, hygiene practices, and safety procedures. Very important, no? Because pandemic is still here. The virus is still transferring from one body to the other. So we continue to protect ourselves. And basic of that is, of course, wearing of masks consistently and social distancing. We also have communicating strategy. We do not only plan this out, but communicate this to the people. And communication in different levels like orientations of parents, students, community people, even school leaders, teachers, DepEd for that matter. No? We really have to make sure that all things are communicated for full awareness and then contingency plan. This embed a lot of what parang it is based on scenario planning. If this happens, then what should be our alternative? If second situation happens, then what are our interventions? And then of course, second macro component is focused on teaching and learning. For example, our learning resources provided to students who will be in the limited face-to-face, no? And then even the teacher support, what kind of policy or leadership support our teachers should be provided from the level of the principal, district, division, region, and even central office. Then we also have well-being and protection, which covers personal and protective equipment, COVID-19 case management, and including the management of those who are in the marginalized sector. And finally, we also talk about homeschool coordination because this is not really the business of school, but of course of homes. And it has to talk about this strong partnership between school and community or homes for that matter. So ganun po ang kabuuan ng school safety assessment tool. But of course, there's a lot of indicators and sub-indicators in each of those strand under the macro component of the school safety assessment tool. Ramon, an attorney?
Ayan. RD, siguro wala naman tayong problema doon, no, in terms of yung sa validation ng ating mga schools, whether or not they are compliant with the SSAT. So far, wala naman siguro, ano?
The process of validation is ongoing because currently there are only 543 schools to be the subject of our expanded limited face-to-face, in addition to the 23. So that's it, no, 543. But we have almost more than 3,000 schools. No? So that's it. And the validation is ongoing using this tool. And our schools, I'd like to thank our principals and teachers and parents that collaborate in terms of the readying the school guided by the SSAP.
Ayan. RD at saka si Chief Myron na rin. Congratulations ba sa atin lahat kasi yung Cagayan de Oro at saka yung Camiguin level 1 na, di ba? Tapos yung second parameter natin says the schools must be in areas under alert levels 1 and 2 based on the periodic risk assessment by the Department of Health. So paano po yung mga level 3 pa? Paano yan, RD? Chief?
Myron, you can take the floor.
Yeah, thank you, RD Art and Paulo. If you may recall, when DepEd commenced with the pilot phase, as discussed a while ago by RD Art, there are four fundamental requirements before school would reopen. And number one would be the compliance of the school safety assessment tool, which has been comprehensively discussed a while ago by RD Art Bayocot. And the other one is the concurrence of the local government unit. This is critical since if you may notice doon sa indicators doon sa school safety assessment tool, palagi niyang sinasabi yung collaboration with the local government unit considering that ito yung nasa grassroots level ng governance, no? Ito yung presensya ng gobyerno. And the third one would be the parents' consent, no? Kailangan yung consent ng parent. And the fourth one would be the school must be located in an area with minimal risks. And as you have mentioned a while ago, ang latest pronouncement ng IATF natin, no, nasa alert level 1 na ang Camiguin and Cagayan de Oro, which umabot pa siya ng alert level 3 before, no. And if you may notice, no, yung pagkaplano ng Department of Education sa pag-reopen ng mga schools mukhang nasa tamang akto din, no? Because the pilot phase started in November and it was planned to end by the end of January, no? And then yung second phase na, which is the expanded phase, papasok na by February. However, medyo naudlot lang ng konti because of the rise of the Omicron, no? Kung maalala nyo, medyo umangat yung cases because of the Omicron variant, kaya medyo na-delay ng a few weeks yung expansion phase natin. However, dahil mabilis din siyang bumaba, a lot of our schools, no, started reopening. Kaya ang tawag natin dito is progressive opening of classes, although we have planned na by February dapat mag-open na tayo ng expanded phase. However, given the situation dun sa locality, no, if the LGU thinks, no, if the local IATF thinks na open na for the expanded phase, then they could open the classes, no, provided all other fundamental requirements are present. And yeah, Cagayan de Oro is now alert level 1. So we encourage siguro yung mga schools, no, na dati takot na takot dahil nasa alert level 3 is ngayon alert level 1, they could progressively open the limited face-to-face classes.
Ramon, for the record, I think currently almost all of our divisions, all our divisions apparently can already commence with the limited face-to-face.
Wow.
Because we all are alert levels 1 and 2, which qualify for the opening of limited face-to-face. And we are happy on this development because we will be able to pursue. Matter of fact, we already have some schools that opened the limited face-to-face last Monday. Example, the 18 schools of Bagoong City already did their simulation, but the simulation was apparently the same as the actual conduct because they did it perfectly according to their plan and the entire week. And ang dagdag ko pa dito, itong 543, kapag nagbukas na po ito, dagdag po ito sa ating 23 na nag-pilot. Kasi yung nag-pilot, natapos man yung pilot study, tuloy-tuloy po ang kanilang pagbubukas ng klase, limited face-to-face daw, hanggang sa katapusan ng pasukan. So in other words, we learned so much lessons from those pilot schools and to add strength into our 543 targeted expansion schools for the limited face-to-face.
I see. Sige, RD. Partner?
Yes, partner, may follow-up question lang ako para kay Chief Myron. Itong sinasabi natin na school safety assessment tool, saan ba tayo makakakita ng sample nito? At saka yung mga schools ba na gustong open ng face-to-face classes, sila ba dapat ang mag-manifest or na gusto nilang mag-face-to-face classes? Or ang schools divisions offices ba ang mag-identify sa kanila? Paano po ang mechanism nito, Chief Myron?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question, Rada. No, the school safety assessment tool, by the way, is anchored on the agreements between DepEd and DOH. Hindi ito gawa-gawa lang ng DepEd na hinatak kung saan-saan, but this is basically based on the provisions of the agreements between DepEd and DOH through the joint memorandum circular na earlier cited by RD. And itong school safety assessment tool is readily available sa mga division offices, and in fact a lot of them have pinalabas na siya, no. This is part of the attachment ng JMC. It is even included doon sa DepEd memorandum issued by the secretary last year, no, last October 18. Nandito nakasaad yung DepEd Memorandum number 71, Preparations for the Pilot Face-to-Face Expansion and Transitioning to New Normal. Nandito nakasaad yung school safety assessment tool, no, na madali lang siyang ibasahin, no, dahil yes or no lang yung sasagutin ng mga schools, no. And kung meron mang no doon na part, doon papasok yung technical assistance coming from their respective division offices na para ma-comply kung anong indicator yon. Doon papasok yung division office. And then once na na-comply na po lahat, and then that would be the time that the division office would allow yung operation ng face-to-face classes ng particular school. Although unlike doon sa pilot phase, no, na kailangan ng approval ng regional office, with the expanded phase, no, dahil na-submit naman na ng lahat ng mga division offices ang mga schools, no, na pwede nang magbukas, no, provided lahat ng mga fundamental requirements are there, no, they could actually start with the limited face-to-face classes.
Ayan. Partner, bago tayo magpatuloy sa next nating focus, partner, follow-up lang, Chief Myron. Am I correct in my understanding? It will still be blended, no? Kahit meron na tayong halimbawa face-to-face, it will still be blended learning, correct?
Yes, Paulo, no. Papasok tayo sa usapan mamaya, no, kung paano yung programming of classes, no. When we say programming of classes, andon na yung papasok na blended, no, because unlike doon sa pre-pandemic, no, na lahat biglaan, 'di ba? Lahat ng mga grade levels, lahat ng mga sections would be there at that particular period, no. Ito nasa management na ng school, no, kung paano nila i-manage para in a way yung mga requirements doon sa school safety assessment tool and all other requirements indicated doon sa JMC would be complied with, no, like the traffic management, yung maximum individuals inside the classroom. So depende kung paano nila gawin yon, no. And by mentioning that also, kung dati doon sa pilot phase, no, ang participating classes lang would be yung allowed lang, no, would be the kindergarten, grades 1 to 3, including the senior high school na textbook track. With this expanded phase, lahat na po ng grade levels kasali, no, kasali. But we're not saying na kailangan lahat ng mga schools would implement or would open all classes na, no. Depende pa rin kung paano yung capacity ng school, no, to manage kung ilang grade levels, and then they could do it progressively, no. They could do it after a month or a week, no. Pwede nang i-accommodate na lahat ng mga classes. Depende sa kanilang management po. So we're giving them flexibility to do it. However, yung best interest pa rin ng mga learners ang dapat masunod.
Ayan. Thank you, Chief. Take it away, partner.
Yes, partner, parang nasagot na ni Chief Myron ang susunod ko sanang tanong kasi nakasaad din doon sa Joint Memorandum Circular na based on the capacity of the schools may already include other grade levels in the expansion of the face-to-face classes. So I guess, partner, meron kang additional tanong para kay RD Art, partner?
Yeah. Kay RD naman, yung pang-apat natin na parameter, RD Art, it says the schools or divisions must have secured the concurrence of the local chief executive in the city or municipality where the expansion school is located. And the schools must also have taken the proper coordination with the respective barangay officials. RD.
As I was discussing earlier regarding the macro component of safety school assessment, it really follows to the first principle, which is on shared responsibility, so that schools cannot just operate by their own decisions. The local government unit, whether it's at the barangay level, municipal, city, or province, really have to give the concurrence because the responsibility lies on everybody's shoulder. No? So that's very important. And we cannot allow a school, no matter how ready they are in terms of our validation through SSAT, they cannot open without concurrence of the local government unit. And I think for obvious reasons, because the local government unit, especially the local chief executive, the mayor, for example, really has the responsibility to the constituents in the society or in his jurisdiction. No? So the level of governance of the mayor cannot just be washing its hands in terms of any eventuality, God forbids, that happens during the decision of the limited face-to-face. And I would like to add that, Myron has said that this is open to all grade levels, to all schools that qualify according to SSAT, but the decision does not emanate only at the leadership of the principal. It has to be communicated. As I was saying, communication plan is very important. So it has to be a consensus among teachers, very important, the principal, and of course the parents and the LGU. No? So the concurrence of everyone is very essential. And as part, I mean on the part of the parents, the concurrence would be on the parents' consent that they will allow their students to go limited face to face. That is very important. And again, emphasized by Myron, it's really progressive because we do not demand that they start all together at once, but depending on their capability. And they have to factor in a lot of reasons, a lot of indicators that they really have to prepare. So yun po. And of course, they must be located, very well said, that they must be located in areas which the critical level is already very, very low. And sa ngayon, the critical level declaration of the entire region can open classes already. So depende na lang po yan sa kahandaan ng ating mga paaralan. No? Alinsunod doon sa mga patakaran na nakasaad sa ating SSAT.
I see. RD Art, granting na yung mga schools are talagang compliant no with the requirements, but they would, for example, prefer to have more on online. Pwede ba yun? Or they must, considering na compliant sila?
The reason why they subject themselves for the SSAT validation is because of the interest that we now have to open our classes. I think everybody is saying, I mean, we all say in chorus that the distance learning, especially relying heavily on a paper-assisted instruction, has the most number of limitations. And it's not only on the cognition development, the psychomotor, the social development, which cannot be learned by the students on their own. No? There's a lot of them that they have not met their teachers even once. They have, sabi ko nga, pag tuloy-tuloy itong ganitong pamamaraan sa pagtuturo at pagkatuto ng mga bata, napakamalas naman ang henerasyong ito na hindi nila maranasan magkaroon ng peer support system. No? Kasi iba ang mag-aaral kapag may mga kamag-aral kaysa mag-aaral ka ng sarili mo. No? You can augment the other's insufficiency and you can also be subsidized by the strengths of others that you do not possess. And this only happens when they are in a team. At saka, DepEd is still in its mantra that education is for all, nobody should be left behind, that education in DepEd is holistic, that we're not just concerned about the mental development. Well, Howard Gardner, in his book Frames of Mind, written in 1982, has emphasized the multiple intelligences. No? And yun na po ngayon ang magiging basehan upang mahubog natin ang mga kabataan sa kanilang kasanayan. Kasi hindi lamang ang pagiging marunong sa musika ay isang talento din, isang intelligence din. And we have proven that there's a lot of us who are able to make better in the lives chosen careers, whatever that field is. And that is being explained very well in the multiple intelligence theory of Howard Gardner. So, ganun po at holistic po ang pamamaraan sa pagtuturo ng mga kabataan na hindi magiging posible kapag nagpapatuloy lang sila na nag-aaral sa kanilang bahay. So ganun dapat, no? Teachers, principals, lahat po tayo. Kung may mga ngilan-ngilan na medyo negatibo ang kanilang pananaw tungkol sa pagbubukas na klaseng ito, kailangan pa natin silang ipaintindi sa kanila. Hatakin natin sila. We will persuade them that this is the way to do it. Remember lahat tayo mga guro, tinuruan tayo when we took our baccalaureate degree education courses during our undergraduate studies. We were trained to be teachers in face-to-face setup. Di naman tayo tinuruan ng distance learning eh. So that's our expertise, to train the students in front of us. But because of the pandemic, that's the only best that we can do. Hindi natin ginusto po yun. Nagkandahirap nga tayo how to train our teachers to manage distance learning. Ibang iba, hindi pa nakahawak ng cursor, ng mouse, pero kailangan talagang matuto. Because this is now the delivery, the modality in the entire education system, not just of the Philippines, but of the entire globe. At tama po. Kasi when you were asking earlier, Ramon, as si Attorney Candice, na kahit mag-limited face-to-face na tayo, kahit tanggalin natin yung salitang limited, nandun pa rin yung blended. Nandun pa rin yung distance learning. This is a blended learning delivery, which is a combination of face-to-face and distance learning. Whatever distance learning delivery modality that be. So wag tayo mag-isip na bakit tayo magpo-problema pa sa mga alternative work arrangements na face-to-face naman tayo. Meron po tayong kaya nga limited siya kasi hindi papayagan. Lahat ng mga bata papasok all together. If I have 40 students, I have to regroup them. I have to break them into smaller groups kasi how can the distancing requirement can be met kapag yung 40 ay sabay-sabay pumasok sa isang 7x9 classroom size. So hindi po pwede. So para itong si Herman Morenong That's Entertainment na magkaroon tayo ng Monday group, Tuesday group, Wednesday group, and the alternative work arrangement is decided by the school according to its capability. Marami pong options. There are suggestives given by DepEd that cannot just be followed in toto kung hindi naman fit doon sa sitwasyon. Sinabi kasi ng DepEd na half days lang ang klase, Monday to Friday, sa Group A, tapos buong Monday to Friday yan, tapos next week, yung Group B naman ang magklase, mag-distance learning naman si Group A. Well, that's suggested by DepEd. We can follow that. But depending on our capability, kung kaya ba natin ganun ang magiging setup. Now comes the power of the principal in terms of empowerment and decentralization on decision making. But again, inputted by groups of people which play symbiotic relationship in the organization. And sino po sila? Parents, community, learners. Ramon,
yeah. Yes, thank you, RD. And partner, yung panglima nating parameter, ano ba ito?
Yes, partner. Mga ka-DepEd, pasensya na po. Medyo yung mga tanong ko into details. So yung tanong ko para kay Chief Myron naman, kasi nakasaad doon sa Joint Memorandum Circular that students participating in the face-to-face classes must have the written consent of their parents. Now, Chief Myron, itong written consent ba na ito, kailangan talagang isulat mismo ng mga parents or meron na po ba tayong nakahanda na form na susulatan na lang nila ng pangalan? Meron ba silang parang pro forma na pwedeng gamitin or do the parents have to write the written consent personally po?
It's a good question, Rada, no? Since yung parental consent and waiver, no, is one of the fundamental requirements for the reopening of classes, hindi na po natin pahihirapan yung mga parents, no, on kung paano isulat yung waiver or yung consent na yon dahil meron na pong template yan, no. Pero dapat yung template hindi lang siya basta-basta ipapasign yan, no, ng sa mga parents. This form should be made understood by them before they would sign it. And this is part of the obligation of the schools, no, to explain to the parents. In fact, doon sa school safety assessment tool, no, if they will do all the communication strategies indicated there, nandun na po yung agreements na dapat or mga provisions na sasignan nung parents or guardians, no. In fact, kung titingnan niyo yung template, meron siyang English na form, meron siyang Tagalog form, and we encourage the division offices to translate this into forms or na ginagamit yung lingwahe na naiintindihan talaga ng mga parents. And part of the waiver doon sa provision is sinasabi din kung ano yung start date and then yung end date, no, na sasama yung mga anak nila, no, or yung binabantayan nila, including the days, no, in a week kung saan sasali yung bata, including the time, no, kung kailan yung simula and then end time na nandun sa school yung bata, because this would protect both parties, no, yung school and at the same time the parents. At wag silang mag-aalala dahil yung confidentiality doon na emphasize doon, yung voluntary participation na emphasize din doon, because hindi to sa pilitan, no. It's we'd want to emphasize na the participation sa limited face-to-face classes ng mga learners, this is voluntary, na hindi sila sa pilitan, no. So doon sa form, no, this is available. Kung meron po tayong mga schools na wala pa, no, please ask your respective division offices to provide you. However, if you would access, no, yung JMC, no, na nasabi natin kanina, nandun naka-indicate yung URL, yung Google Drive kung saan pwede nyo ma-access yung mga forms or templates na kailangan for you to reopen your limited face-to-face classes.
Ayan. Partner, kaya ko na itanong yun, partner, kay pagsulti magud og form, basi na makadungog ba, himuog ni gusto ni sa uban nga maghimo sila og form. So the forms are readily available. So hindi kailangan pumunta sa abogado para magpagawa ng waiver or para magpagawa ng consent. Klarong-klaro naman po. Thank you very much po. Partner, take it away.
Ayan, partner na Rada. Chief Mai, bago yung pang-anim natin na parameter, clarify ko lang, no? Di ba, it was mentioned earlier by RD na kahit paano blended pa rin yung modality talaga natin. Given na halimbawa yung face-to-face classes will be in full swing pretty soon, tama ba na parents still have for example, the option to pursue halimbawa online, tapos ayaw na muna nila na yung ng face-to-face kahit in full swing na yung face-to-face modality? Pwede ba yon?
Well, Paulo, we cannot really specifically define what is the new normal, no? We are on the learning stage pa rin, no? And how we wish, no, na we could really foresee yung specific arrangements on the delivery of education, no? Na just like in the pre-COVID that we've done that for so many decades, for how many hundreds of years, no? But this one, talagang it's more on our adaptability na, no? Because we cannot really define, no? For example, in an area na wala namang online connection, we cannot impose to them, no, na merong online na pa rin na delivery of basic education kung wala naman doon sa circumstances nila, no. So again, it's how we adapt to the situation. And again, sana may mga kaakibat pa rin dito ng mga kasamahan natin na maggagawa ng continuous study, no, on the impact of these various modalities that we are using as a way of delivering basic education for our learners in our context dito sa Region 10, kasi magkakaiba talaga yan. We cannot compare NCR and Region 10 because again, we have different circumstances, no, situations, both technology, accessibility, and all.
Ayan. Thank you, Chief. Yung pang-anim naman natin na parameter, RD Art or Chief Myron will may expound po on this. Schools are given flexibility in contact time for teaching and learning, provided that meals are not taken in school except during managed recess po. RD or Chief? RD, naka-mute po kayo.
Thank you, Ramon. This is one of the provisions articulated in the DepEd memorandum regarding the limited face-to-face expansion, implementation, and to transition to the new normal. No, I think for obvious reasons, hindi maganda na ang mga bata ay kakain sa loob ng paaralan for lunch. Because of course, when you eat, you remove your masks. And that again brings the susceptibility in terms of transmission. But personally, if it can be managed very, very well, I'm not skeptical about that as well. Because if it's really managed, no, I would allow. No? But we have to be compliant with what DepEd Memorandum is saying. For example, because I believe that whether you are half-day reporting or whole-day reporting, the vulnerability is always there. Except that when they remove their masks for eating activity, then that increases the vulnerability. So there's wisdom on the provision cited by DepEd. And as much as possible, we will follow this. We can probably do some improvisation and let's validate if the conditions allow. Because the principals, teachers, and parents know better their conditions than anyone else. No? So that's one point. Number two is on the classroom structure, the structure of the classes. No? Well, there are suggestives that for this particular grade, only a maximum of 10. This grade, only a maximum of 12. This grade, only a maximum of 15. No? And these are articulated well in that DepEd issuance. But it's, again to me, is also suggestive. Because if you've got a bigger classroom, that still qualifies for the required meter in distance, then we can add more or we can subtract. We can go more or go less, depending on the size of the classroom, the ability. Kaya nga, nung nagsimula tayo ng pilot face-to-face, binisita natin ang mga paaralan at masyadong konti yung eskwelahan na napuntahan ko, konti yung mga bata sa isang classroom na 6 lang yata. Sabi ko, bakit? Kasi masikip ang kwarto. Kasi ang dami nilang nilalagay sa kwarto eh. Meron sila mga health corner, may mga reading corner, mga ganon. Ang daming mga palamuti. Alam mo naman, daming mga gamit. So sabi ko, pwede nyo naman niyang itabi. Kasi ang mahalaga talaga ay mabigyan ng pagkakataon ng mga bata to already have engagement physically with their classmates and you. So ano pa ba ang uunahin mo? Yung paglagay ng mga kung ano-anong corner sa classroom that will deprive students who are supposed to occupy the space, but because of this, they're not able to come and join the limited face-to-face. But again, the suggestives follow a very good principle because it was not just thought by one, but it has passed through a lot of analysis, validation, and evaluation. So it's very good that we follow those, but in the event that you do some revisions or improvisations, then you have to talk with your principal and then concurrence of the principal, district supervisor, and report it to the division and region for full awareness on the kind of alternatives that you employ in your classroom. So ganun po yung aking sagot doon. Flexibility of time, yes. Kasi kailangan ang teacher should also be given still the availment of only teaching for 6 hours. And the 2 hours for the 8 hour a day should be spent on teaching related activities. So maximum of that's 6, no? And then sa mga bata naman, depende po 'yon. If you really follow a structure of half a day, then it has to just be 4 hours, no? And in terms of frequency, whether the report MWFTTHS, there's no prescription. If you want to go straight and then the next week straight naman na blended learning, that's also an alternative. There are suggestions of DepEd as what I've said, but if you find a better condition that's more relevant and fitting for your condition, then do not be scared about implementing what's best for your school.
Ayan.
Paulo.
Thank you, RD. And for our last parameter, partner.
Yes, partner. At parang gusto ko ata talaga na si RD Art ang sumagot sa katanungan na ito. Kasi nabasa ko din sa Joint Memorandum Circular na iyon na only vaccinated teachers may participate in the face-to-face classes and vaccinated learners shall be preferred. Parang mas mabuti ata na manggaling talaga mismo kay RD Art ang explanation sa clause na ito doon sa JMC. RD Art?
Very strict po tayo in terms of teachers handling face-to-face classes. And we cannot risk the lives of our children by putting a teacher who is not vaccinated. Not just the lives of children, but the life of the teacher herself, no? So importante talaga that those who will be involved in the limited face-to-face, who will be at the forefront of the teaching and learning, should be for vaccinated teachers. But that does not exempt the teachers not to report to school because they're doing work from home for the entire week, months and year. Hindi pwedeng ganon. And the principal has to decide in all his wisdom and in all his capacity kung anong nakakabuti sa mga klaseng guro, vaccinated and not vaccinated. For example, if I were the principal and I have teachers who are not vaccinated, I would still, for example, gusto ko rin na mag-report siya, no? Kasi hindi naman siya magtuturo sa mga bata. So, he can occupy the room which is very, very far in the school, the rare room or the last room, for example, which cannot really had the chance to mingle and ramble with children, no? So, pwedeng ganon kasi kailangan mo rin naman ang physical presence ng teacher, no? So, ganun po yun. Hindi talaga siya isasama doon sa pagtuturo. But, again, as what I've said, it does not exempt her from that task that he is really to do as a teacher. And, sabi natin, blended naman to. There's face-to-face and there's also a component of distance learning. So, that teacher can handle the distance learning, whether TV, radio, online, or modular. Doon siya natin i-assign. Kung solid na grado or pwedeng tulungan. For example, sa klase na ito, ako mag-handle ng face-to-face. Pag nag-distance learning ang grupo ng mga batang ito, ikaw naman mag-handle. Team teaching. That's an alternative. It doesn't really have to be your advisory class. It can also be tulungan. Depende na po yan. That's why we're giving so much liberty to the principal to really act in accordance to what is appropriate in the situation, no? Tapos mga bata, sinabi dito shall be preferred. But for students who are not vaccinated and parents would allow them to go to face-to-face, we welcome the students, even if they're not vaccinated. We only prefer that sana vaccinated ang mga bata. Pero in the event that the parent insists na kasi napapagod na rin siya sa kakaturo na wala namang kasiguruhan kung natuto o hindi, padala niya mga bata, meron naman siyang consent, we will accommodate. But again, the principal should take the responsibility in terms of management, how the children could still be ensured for safety or of safety. So ganun po yun. Hindi po pwedeng hindi tanggapin yung mga batang hindi bakunado. For whatever reasons, maybe hindi rin umabot sa kanila pa ang vaccination for the 5-year-olds and above. So kung nandyan lang sana, gusto nila pero wala naman. So that is also a deprivation for students who want to go back to classrooms and are allowed by parents. Ngunit hindi rin yan nagtatanggal ng responsibilidad ng paaralan na kailangang i-secure din ang safety ng mga bata. Because on top of it all, we still would like to push that safety is one of the primordial concerns in the Department of Education. Especially na magbabalik na tayo sa ating limited face-to-face expansion. Baka si Myron may idagdag.
Yes po, bago po magpatuloy si Sir Myron, bigyan ko na lang po siya ng follow-up question related to the explanation of RDR. Kasi po kanina, Chief Myron, sinabi niyo po na kailangan may written consent coming from the parents for the learners to be able to participate in the face-to-face classes. Ngayon naman po, sinasabi po natin doon sa Joint Memorandum Circular na ito, na vaccinated learners shall be preferred. So para lang po, Chief Myron, malinaw po sa ating mga magulang, kung meron man po mga magulang na nanonood ngayon, na for those for the vaccination status and between the vaccination status rather and the consent given by the parents, which among the two should take precedence po? Yung consent ba or yung vaccination status ng ating mga learners?
Chief May?
Yeah, Rada, this week, nag-facilitate ng conversation ang Commission on Human Rights regarding sa issue on the unvaccinated teachers. Dahil nga doon sa, they feel discriminated, no? One of the question I asked actually doon sa CHR is that where do we strike the balance between the right to quality education of our learners, including of course their right to survival, no? And then the right to be vaccinated or to be not vaccinated by the teachers. And it was explicitly explained, no, by the no less than the regional director of the Commission on Human Rights, that the best interest of the child, no, would take precedence over anything, no. So as explained a while ago by RDR, no, the protection is actually not only for the learners, no, who are either vaccinated or not vaccinated, but also for the protection na rin ng teachers, whether it be unvaccinated or vaccinated. Doon sa parents' consent, no, if you look at the parents' consent na or waiver form, no, naka-emphasize doon na naiintindihan ng parent, no, na magsasign, no, na uuunawaan niya na kabilang sa harapang pagdalo sa mga klase ng kanyang anak at ang pakikihalubilo niya sa mga guro, kamag-aral at mga empleyado ng paaralan at iba pang tao sa loob at labas ng paaralan na maaaring magdulot ng pagkahawa ng kanyang anak sa COVID-19 sa kabila ng mga pag-iingat na isinasagawa ng paaralan, no. So yung waiver na yon is to actually waive their claims sa eskwelahan, no, na walang hindi na po kasalanan ng school, no, kung nahawa man yung bata or hindi, no. However, isa sa mga control dito is yun nga, yung na-mention natin na dapat yung teacher should be vaccinated, no, para hindi kawawa pa rin yung bata na makikidalo or makikisali sa expanded phase ng limited face-to-face classes. And well, Rada, no, I'm a parent, no. If between yung thought na vaccinated yung mga teachers ng paaralan ng school ko at hindi vaccinated, or isa sa kanila yung vaccinated, then it would influence my decision also to send my child to participate in the limited face-to-face classes. Meaning, mas kampante pa rin ako kapag lahat ng mga teachers ay bakunado. Rada?
Ayan po, malinaw na malinaw. Partner, go ahead, partner.
Partner, Chief Mai, may gusto lang akong i-clarify. Di ba yung term kasi na ginamit natin is preferred, di ba? While we accommodate all our learners, including those unvaccinated, halimbawa, will their presence, for example, those that are not vaccinated, not compromise the safety of everyone?
Well, Paolo, I'm not a medical doctor, no? And in fact, the medical community is actually on the process of learning pa rin the nature of the COVID-19, no? Yung virus na to. And halos lahat ng ginagawa natin is actually precautionary measures, no? And then a lot of schools of thought, no? Lumalabas na rin na yung mga debate whether there's no need to be vaccinated na because since tumama na sa atin yung Omicron, we were able to acquire such immunity na rin na ibibigay ng vaccine, no? But of course, we rely on what the IATF would tell us, so, and this would include yung mga experts, no? And then kung ano man yung sasabihin ng IATF natin, doon po tayo susunod sa kanila, and kasama dito is highly recommended pa rin nila na dapat vaccinated yung mga teachers natin, including the participating learners.
Ramon,
and so far, wala pang nag-overturn doon na resolutions nila.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, RD.
Ramon, if I may add, you were asking about whether the unvaccinated children will be compromised. The answer is no, because if the control mechanism of the school, which is anchored on the safety assessment tool, fully implemented, then that would actually give a very small fraction in terms of the compromise that you're talking. Kasi tingnan mo yung management school operations. Napapaloob doon yung protective measures on hygiene practices. And then if you look at the well-being and protection component, doon papasok lahat. Yung personal protective equipment and all that, no? So, whether vaccinated or not vaccinated, if we really are in full implementation and adherence to the SSAT indicators, I think maiiwasan siya. Hindi man tayo magsabing perpekto talagang maiwasan, but I think very minor or very least na lang ang percentage of the vulnerability if we are able to take good care of all of them. No? Kasi I have gone to Besigan, which is the farthest barangay of Cagayan de Oro. So, ang tanong ko ngayon, di ako alam, na inabot na ba sila? Naabot na ba sila sa vaccination of 5-year-olds? No? Napakalayo-layo na barangay. So sayang din naman if you will not accommodate the students who have been allowed by their parents to go to the school for the limited face-to-face. That's why kailangan talaga din nilang tanggapin. And again, gusto kong emphasize, vaccinated or not vaccinated learners who will participate in the limited face-to-face must secure parents' consent. Ang consent po, hindi lang po sa mga hindi bakunado. Kahit yung mga bakunado, kung may bakunadong bata, ayaw pa rin ng magulang na ipadala sa eskwelahan, hindi po natin mapipilit yon. Because the decision of parents to send will always prevail whether their kids are vaccinated or not vaccinated. Importante po yon. So sana, we will take advantage of this. Let's give it a try. Sana magkaroon na tayo ng itong pandemic na to will no longer be a pandemic but endemic, no? Para sa ganon magkaroon tayo ng manumbalik na yung dating sigla natin in terms of delivering education, no? Kasi napakahalaga po na ang mga bata ay mabigyan ng gabay at patnubay sa kanilang pag-aaral at pagkatuto, and who's the best fit to do the job. Yung ating mga teachers.
RD and Paolo, Allow me to emphasize na lang din, no, about the macro indicators which RD Art has repeatedly mentioned a while ago. And one of which actually is the inclusion ng most marginalized, no. Nag-uusap tayo dito ng bakunado and then hindi bakunado ng mga learners, but actually ang isang objective ng progressive opening of the expanded phase ng limited face-to-face classes is really the inclusion of the learners who are most vulnerable and disadvantaged, no, in terms of access to learning as indicated in the eligibility of learners, no, na mention natin kanina. Anong mga to? Ito yung mga indigent na mga bata, no, bakunado or not, no, priority po sila, no, mga out of school youth, mga physically and mentally handicapped, yung mga IDPs, no, na distressed individuals and families including internally displaced persons, low resourced students, yung mga wala talaga silang means, no, of like mga gadget, wala silang means of accessing online classes, kaya kailangang sumali sila sa face-to-face classes na lang. Yung mga abandoned and neglected children, mga street children, anak ng mga dating rebelde, mga bata na nasa conflict-affected areas and vulnerable communities, yung mga bata, no, na with disabilities, no, mga SPED students, and yung mga bata na kagaya nung nasa Bisigan, no, mga geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. Ito yung isang focus din ng opening of classes, no, na sana ito yung mga napag-iiwanan usually, at dahil sa COVID-19 napag-iiwanan pa sila. So we'd want to reverse that situation, that by prioritizing them in having access to quality learning, which is basically ngayon na limited face-to-face pa rin, of course blended with other modalities. Sana sila yung mga nangunguna, no, na sa ating expanded phase ng limited face-to-face classes.
Especially, Ramon, the children who, well, we know that the principle of learning is that telling us that the speed and pacing of a student to learn varies from one child to the other. And reality check, there are really those that learn slow, that are struggling. So these are the ones that we should include in the priorities, because these are the ones that are needing direct guided instruction from a teacher. Kasi nahihirapan na nga silang umintindi. So dapat sila ang ating magiging prioridad. At sana nga lang wala silang problema tungkol sa parents' belief of the limited face-to-face. And of course, sana nga lang they will also be prioritized by the vaccination. Kasi kapag ka-genius yung bata or really an achiever, I think he can manage his own learning. Meron kasi tayo mga self-managed learning children. They can, of course, we will not deprive them to go to school. But in terms of priority, unahin talaga natin hanggat maaari yung mga batang nagsastruggle na kailangang bigyan ng guided instruction, gabay at patnubay ng guro. Importante talaga yon.
Ayan, thank you, RD and Chief. That's indeed inclusive education. Now, RD and Chief, bilang panghuling katanungan po, at saka, ano po ang pwede niyo pang idagdag, at saka ano po yung mensahe po natin sa ating mga ka-DepEd? RD.
We have proven that our limited face-to-face, as piloted, specifically in our yard with 23 schools doing it, the results revealed that it can be done, even at that high alert critical level. Now that we are improving, I hope we will continue to develop the health conditions of the place through cooperation and through science. Sana magkaroon tayo ng pagkakataon that we can all bring our students back to classrooms. Because I believe, lahat ng mga bata, I believe everybody is really excited and eager to go back to school. Kasi nauumay na rin sila who are locked down for 2 years at home and competing, whether studying the module or playing games. Because alam mo naman yung mga bata, nagpe-play ng ML, Mobile Legend, And parents sometimes are not there because they go out for work and nobody there that guides the child in terms of refocusing back to what is supposed to be done. No? So mga magulang, hinihikayat ko po kayo na will take advantage of this effort that DepEd is doing. Kasi kami sa DepEd, we understand that our major mandate is to deliver that quality education your children deserve. And major mandate namin is talagang turuan sila. Nahirapan na rin kayo, and kung nahirapan kayo at sinasabi ninyong medyo maluwag-luwag ang routines ng teachers sa nakalipas na 2 taon, then we give back to the teachers the routine responsibility of teaching their children. And I'm also encouraging all our partners to help in this endeavor. The crusade of bringing children back to school is the best way. I would say the best way. There's nothing there's nothing distance learning delivery that can compete with face to face. Ito pa rin talaga ang pinakamabisa na pamamaraan sa pagkatuto ng bata. So we bring them all and give them the chance. Sana maranasan din ng mga kabataan back kung anong naranasan natin in the past. No? We're seeing a happy and lively atmosphere now. We're alert level 1. I heard movies are starting already in our city. So magandang inspirasyon po yan na bumalik tayo sa masiglang buhay, that in spite of the challenges, we are able to enjoy living our lives. And we have to give that to the children because they need that. And in closing, today is our first day of March, the first day of the first day of the Women's Month celebration. Happy Women's Month, Attorney Candice Razon, and to all the women's out there, and even the men who also play the role of women in terms of raising their children. Happy Women's Day. That's why I'm in purple. This has nothing to do with political color. And you see the lightings in my office is also purple because this is to show my support to the celebration in giving emphasis on the role of women in this country and world. Marami pong salamat and happy back to school face to face to all our 543 and eventually to all our more than 3,000 schools in Region 10.
Ayan, thank you very much, RD Art. Chief Mai, may idadagdag po kayo?
Yeah, well said, RD Art, no? Wala na akong maidadagdag. I just want to share my experience sa umagang ito na totoo nga, it's a very good communication na parang black coffee na it's very stimulating, no? Na sana makakatulog rin ako mamaya, no? However, just to put us back again on why we have to reopen our schools, no. Hindi po tayo nag-experiment dito, no. Actually tapos na po tayo sa experiment stage, which is yung pilot phase, no. And what we're doing, these are all anchored to a framework, no, na drafted by international organizations and because of the experience na rin ng mga iba't ibang mga bansa. So we're not experimenting, no. We're simply implementing mga best practices na nagawa sa ibang bansa na rin, including what we have learned during the pilot phase. No? So again, maraming salamat po sa pag-invite ninyo sa amin dito and hopefully tuloy-tuloy natin yung mga ganitong usapan para yung mga audience natin, mga teachers natin, mga school heads natin would be guided, no, including our stakeholders would be guided sa pag-reopen, progressive reopening of our limited face-to-face classes. Thank you.
Ayan, Chief Mai, thank you very much. At Chief Mai, babalik kayo the week after next para naman sa guesting ng Education Support Services Division, di ba? The week after next yan. Oo.
Of course, of course.
At syempre, maraming salamat po, RD Art. Of course, si RD Art, regular naman natin siyang makakasama as long as his time will permit para sa ating segment na anong Bago Arturo. Ayan po. Once again, thank you very much, RD Art and Chief Myron. And ayan, bago po tayo magpapatuloy, shout out muna tayo mga ka-DepEd kasi 'di ba marami tayong mga sa atin ngayon mga ka-DepEd na nanonood sa atin. Hindi lamang sa Department of Education FB page, pati na rin po sa DepEd Philippines. Ayan po, partner, gagamitin ko muna yung mahiwaga
Yes,
ko.
partner. Ang daming mga comments. Actually, mas madaming mga comments sa DepEd Philippines. So, buong Pilipinas ata talaga ang nanonood sa atin ngayon, partner.
So direct, ano ba yung ayan? Kay SDS Olga Alonsabe. Thanks RD Art and Chief Myron for all the inputs. Ayan, SDS Olga. Ayan, ka Ma'am Arlene Via, nakita ko, ayun, wala. Ayan, Happy Women's Month from Arlene CV, ang ating DIO sa Ozamis City. Ayan, sino pa ba? Ay, kay Ma'am SDS ulit. It's really good to open again the school gates for our learners to learn not only from teachers but also from their schoolmates. A healthy social development for all. Thank you, SDS Olga. And from Harry Ken Roferos, hello, sir. Good morning, watching all the way from the division of Misamis Occidental. And from Jade Neri Cabural, watching from Taguluan National High School, Misamis Oriental, SDO. Be more, partner.
Yes, partner. So, hinahinayan nato ni partner kay mag-adjust ko sa kahinay sa akong laptop. Anyway, we have from May El Tahod. Good morning, everyone. Watching from South City Central School. That's from Cagayan de Oro City. And we also say good morning to Miss Nanette Izquierdo. Good morning. Watching here from Tipanoy Elementary School from the division of Iligan City. And we also say bigaten morning to Danilo Ungab Omega. Good morning, watching from the CID of Tangub City Division. And meron pa ba? Meron din tayong pa-good morning, pabigating good morning kay Lioma Ortega Tabanao. Good morning, watching from ITMIS SDO Misamis Occidental. Ayan po. And, of course, from Chief Raymond Antolo and Grace Galarpe, hello. Ayan po. Congratulations, Bigatin team, and to RD Art, well, watching from New York, USA. Partner!
That's right, partner. Bumisita si Chief Raymond sa kapatid ko sa US. Ayan. Ayan, from my sister naman po. Glad to see you both, our live hosts of Region 10. Ayan, thank you. And from Rex Banagunayan Jr., watching live from El Salvador City. Ayan, sino pa ba? From Mercy Paler Apa, good morning, watching from Pangantukan North District Division of Bukidnon. Thank you, ma'am. From Epps William C. Agomana, good morning, Kadeped, watching from Regional Office 10. Sir Marino Dal, watching from Regional Office 10, maayong buntag. Partner.
Yes, partner. Meron pa din tayong mga greetings nagmumula kina or doon na ba tayo sa ating DepEd Philippines? Are we moving on to our greetings from DepEd Philippines?
Sure, partner.
Yes, meron po tayo dito coming from Ma'am Mabel. Salamat po. Dapat talaga wag i-discriminate ang mga unvaxxed. Meron din po tayong galing kay Christine Solas Misoles, watching from New Society Central Elementary School, General Santos Division. And meron po tayo si Ma'am Janet Dagdagen, watching from Baguio City. And we also say good morning to Mr. Ronald Gonzalez, watching from National Power Corporation Elementary School, Norsagaray East District, SDO of Bulacan. Partner!
Ayan, partner, mula naman sa Kidapawan City Division, kay Ma'am Nerissa Dano. Good morning, watching from KCNH. Yes, ayan. At mula naman sa, syempre, saan ba to? South Cotabato, from Elsa Barrientos. Good morning po. At mula naman sa General Santos City, si Glamour Flores. From Kaanawa National High School, mula naman kay Alan Galanta. Thank you for watching. And from Davao Nor, Ronnie Publico, maraming salamat po. From Sorsogon City, partner Maria Luisa Dolor. And from Sultan Kudarat Division, from Celso Castronuevo. Ayan, partner, meron pa ba?
Meron pa, partner. Meron pa tayong si Ma'am Gina Casalan. Good morning, watching from San Rafael Elementary School, Patnongon 1 District of SDO Antique. And meron din tayong galing kay Evelyn Algabre. Good morning, watching from Malalag Tubig Elementary School, Santa Maria West District, Division of Davao Occidental. And finally, we have from Charles Jose, good morning, watching from Matias B. Salvador Memorial Elementary School, North District SDO of Bulacan. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat mula dito sa Amihan ng Mindanao.
That's right, partner. Ito yung mga greetings na binabasa natin via DepEd Philippines, partner, ha? From La Carlota City naman, si Martin Wala. At mula naman sa, saan pa ba to? SDO Albay, kay Joey Diaz. Hello. Hello, sir. From saan pa to? DepEd Negros Oriental na Pusuan Elementary School, kay Maribel Belocura. At mula naman sa, saan pa ito? Sarangani Province, kay Sir Noel Inamarga. At meron pa sa ayan, Kidapawan City, Apollonia Aton. Ayan po, marami pa po sila. Anyway, thank you for watching. BigaTEN DepEd 10 atin to. Ayan. Direct.
Magandang araw mga ka-DepEd. Narito ang mga maiinit na balita mula sa sangay ng Lanao del Norte. Matagumpay na isinagawa ng mga CID at SGOD personnel ang ebalwasyon ng mga paaralan upang siguraduhin ang kahandaan sa pagbubukas ng expanded face-to-face classes. Nagbigay din ng libreng fluoride varnish application ang ating mga dentists at nurses sa lahat ng pupils mula kindergarten hanggang grade 3 sa ating 5 face-to-face pilot schools. Patuloy din ang presentasyon at evaluasyon ng mga research proposals kung saan merong 131 proposals sa taong ito kumpara sa 27 proposals ng nakaraang taon. At malugod naming binabati ang ating mga atleta ng Sari Manok Arnis Team na hinirang na World Champion sa kauna-unahang Virtual World Arnis Championships. Si Lolito J. Bacor Jr. ang nagkamit ng gintong medalya sa Anyo Ponyo. Nasungkit din nila ang 2 silver medals at 9 na bronze medals ng nasabing pandaigdigang patimpalak. Para sa BigaTEN DepEd 10, ako po si Giovanni Malasarte Pangasian, nag-uulat mula sa sangay ng Lanao del Norte. Wow! Lanao! Kuyaw!
Maayong adlaw ka DepEd. Welcome to the division of El Salvador City. Last February 8, 2022, the division has launched its National Dental Health Month with the theme, Brushing is a Must, Kahit Nakamas. One of its priority program is to provide fluoride application to our school-aged children. Up to date, we have provided 136 learners, and this will continue up to August of this year. In support with the DOH program, tara na, magpabakuna na ta, and through the partnership of our local government unit, the Division of El Salvador City has prepared varied activities to entice our school-aged children to have themselves vaccinated. Up to date, we have targeted 100 learners, but on the vaccination side, we have reached 232 school-aged children. For more information, watch this. officers from the Division of El Salvador City. This has been your news anchor, Mary Jane A. Kakayan, your Division Information Officer. See you again next time and have a nice day.
Ayan po mga ka-DepEd, yun po ang ating BigaTEN News 10. Maraming salamat po sa ating DepEd News 10 correspondents na sina Mr. Giovanni Pangasian mula sa Sangay ng Lanao del Norte at kay Ma'am Marie Jade A. Kakayan mula sa Sangay ng Lungsod El Salvador para sa DepEd News 10. Ayan, partner. Good morning again, partner. Ayan po, para naman sa ating big attention, big attendance, ito po ang ating mga latest issuances. Meron po tayong DM008 series of 2022 on the 2022 search for outstanding government workers. Now, the Civil Service Commission or the CSC Awards Program announces the government workers 2022 search for outstanding government workers under the auspices of the Honor 2022 Search for Outstanding 2. The search aims to recognize outstanding public officials and employees, individuals, and or group of individuals who have shown excellent or utmost dedication and commitment in public service.
That's right, partner. Hintayin mo yung nomination ko sa'yo, ha? Ayan. Meron din tayong Regional Memorandum Number 115, Series of 2022 on the implementing guidelines of the Safety Seal Certification Program of Region 10 for the expanded implementation of the limited face-to-face classes. Ayan, napag-usapan natin yun kanina. The Department of Health and the Department of Education issued Joint Memorandum Circular Number 01, Series of 2021 on September 27, 2021. The memorandum circular provides guidance on the mechanisms and standards on the resumption of face-to-face classes. The roles and responsibilities, or the guidelines also cover the roles and responsibilities of stakeholders across governance to ensure effective, efficient, and safe implementation of the limited face-to-face classes and improve the learning outcomes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, to streamline the compliance of all schools in the reopening of the classes through the limited face-to-face modality with the minimum public health standards indicated in the Joint Memorandum Guidelines or Circular, the following guidelines are promulgated to guide the schools, division offices, and schools in Region 10 on the grant of and retention of the Safety Seal certification. Partner.
Yes, partner, meron din tayong DepEd Order number 005 series of 2022 on the performance-based bonus or the PBB guidelines on eligibility requirements and accountability matrix. Now, the Department of Education issued the performance-based bonus or PBBI guidelines on eligibility requirements and accountability matrix to provide guidance on the PBB, including the new prescribed letter A, eligibility requirements, letter B, accountability matrix on the grant of PBB starting fiscal year 2021 and for the succeeding years. Now, all public elementary and secondary schools and DepEd offices are directed to achieve the criteria and adhere to the accountability matrix on the grant of the PBB set in this DepEd order. Now, the issuance of this policy shall guide all DepEd schools and offices in achieving the 4 dimensions of accountability and in evaluating the performance of each office and personnel.
Ayan, thank you, partner. Alam mo, ang laki ng smile dito ni Direk Fatima nung narinig niya yung PBB. Hopefully. Anyway, meron din tayong DM009 series of 2022 on institutionalizing the acceptance of Philippine Identification or Philippine Identification System number as sufficient proof of identity and age in all government and private transactions. Ayan po mga ka-DepEd, watch out for our upcoming engagement with the Regional Office of the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA to discuss the rationale and the pertinent requirements for the national ID card. Coming soon. And finally, we say thank you to the following for making every episode of BigaTEN DepEd 10 possible. Siyempre, partner, nangunguna na dyan ang ating panauhin kanina. Siyempre, ang ating multi-awarded regional director, Dr. Arturo B. Bayocot, CESO 3. Kasama siyempre ang ating chief ng Education Support Services Division na si Chief Myron D. Talosig.
Yes, partner, maraming salamat din po kay Police Lieutenant Colonel Melvin Ian Burlat, the Chief of the Police Community Affairs and Development Unit of the Province of Misamis Occidental. At salamat din kay Sir Edgar M. Dizon, President of the Kaamulan Eagles Club, Malaybalay City Chapter. And thank you also to Councilor Cecil Yu Co of Ozamis City for their messages of support.
That's right. And we also acknowledge DepEd News 10 correspondent Giovanni Pangasian mula sa Sangay ng Lanao del Norte, DepEd News 10 correspondent Marie Jade A. Kakayan mula sa Sangay ng Lungsod, El Salvador. Actually, siya po yung pumalit kay EPS Helen Maasin, partner. Thank you also to DIO Maria Joy Tanagot, Oroquieta City, DIO Rio G. Abotante ng Malaybalay City, at DIO Orlin C. Villa ng Ozamis City para sa kanilang mga messages of support na galing sa ating mga stakeholders. Partner.
And of course, partner, how could we forget to thank our very own BigaTEN DepEd 10 Creative Force? Of course, partner, maraming salamat sa iyo. We're back. And of course, salamat din at welcome aboard kay Ka-DepEd Kaloy Carlos B. Llamas III. Thank you very much to our directors, Ralph Simon L. Mabulay, Fatima E. Villaremo, and Clifford B. Liponhay.
Yeah, that's right. And thank you also to our support staff from the Office of the Regional Director, si Ma'am Juvie Estrella and Ma'am Annabel Baculio. Thank you also to Sir Elson Hamero, still, for our BigaTEN jingle, and to Sir Nick Paniares for his, as always, generosity in helping us facilitate or account for the use of the StreamYard platform. Hopefully, direct, no, yung magkakaroon na tayo ng yung paano ba yan? I-process natin yung direct, no? Tulungan mo ako para sa ating StreamYard. Ayan, partner.
Yes, partner. At maraming salamat din sa DepEd 10 Legal Unit kasi tahimik na tahimik sila ngayong umaga na ito. Hindi sila nagsasalita para walang marinig na extra noise sa ating Studio 2. Anyway, thank you also to our DepEd Regional Office 10 family. Maraming salamat sa panunood. We also thank the 14 schools division offices, all our DepEd schools. Thank you to all our stakeholders sa lahat ng ating mga ka-DepEd at sa lahat ng nanunood sa atin ngayon. And of course, partner Paulo, thank you to our learners, the heart of DepEd Region 10. Maraming salamat po.
Ayan, syempre, kita-kits sa sunod simana para sa line of sabga edisyon sa BigaTEN DepEd 10, kauban ang Curriculum Learning Management Division headed by Chief Malaeta B. Bagnaong. Ayan mga ka-DepEd, let's make BigaTEN DepEd 10 our Tuesday habit. Ug dinhi natapos ang atong ika-39 nga edisyon sa BigaTEN DepEd Season 3. Ako si Ramon Gonzalez Abrera, aka ka-DepEd Paulo, ang inyong Public Affairs Unit Lead Officer. Taliwala sa mga pagsulay, ang among pag-alagad, kanunay.
Ug ako sab si Candice Racoma, ang inyong rakista abogada aka ka-DepEd Rada, usab nagaingon sa DepEd Amihan ng Mindanao nagkahiusang pag-alagad nagpatibabaw. Sa gihapon kami ang inyong kauban.
Kasaligan.
Kadampan.
Siyempre, ka-DepEd. Hangtug sa sunod gayon, kini ang
BigaTEN DepEd at ito.
Amihan ng Mindanao, the Northern Mindanao. Amihan ng Mindanao, ang kahiusan at pagbabaw. BigaTEN DepEd, pagpatay sa edukasyon, mapunin mo na maayun. BigaTEN DepEd, that Northern Mindanao, for the learners and the now, we're always here to serve you no matter how.